This week on RSBANDB Update, 110 Crafting is coming in June with Starbloom armor, Masterwork Robes, new urns, platinum jewelry, and a use for the Crafting Guild. We're excited and looking forward to it as we also look at recent player support numbers and the week's patch notes. This is RSBANDB Update, episode 1038, recorded Thursday, May 22nd, 2025. Re-examining the Guild. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of RSBANDB Update. This week we have a Tanis here. Welcome back, Tanis.
Thank you, Shane.
Also here, everybody's second favorite Australia now, Parnasius. Welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, relegated back to second now that Tanis is back.
Yeah, and of course you can find me in game at BNB Shane. But this week, of course, we have the biggest thing to discuss is the right-click re-examine rather on 110 Crafting. We'll get to that in just a moment. But of course, a big, huge thank you to all of our experienced tier Patreon members for whom without update would not be possible. That's Amos Reed, Bladecom, Dominic R, Harry, Jason S, Jesse W, Kesky, Lemon Lodge, Luminos, Ricky A, Runestar, Oasis, Snail Mage, The Naked Captain, and Tim. Big, huge thank you, everybody. You'll hear more about our Patreon offerings a bit later in the podcast, but in the meantime, if you want to follow along, full show notes can be found over at update.show. We also have our community Discord over at update.show/Discord, and the Friends chat can be found in-game at BitsBytes. All right, that was a quick and easy intro. I just want to get us into this 110 Crafting right-click re-examine because lots of big important things in here to discuss this week. So we're just going to dive right in, starting off when it comes to the magic armor appearance. The most discussed concept was the ancestral robes, but despite how it looked, many people also wanted such an iconic armor to come into the game in a different way. So while they adored the ancestral concept, they understood the feedback and went for the Starbloom robes, which are the ones that are influenced by the current set of Blue Mystic in the game.
Yeah,
how do we
iconic
feel
robes,
about
the Mystic
that?
robes. Well, we had a big discussion about this pre-show, didn't we?
Yeah, so at first I did not realize it was just purely the cosmetic, and I was like, oh man, they're being the gatekeepers again. Here we go. But once we were talking and I realized it's cosmetic, I'm totally fine. Not just fine. That's where it should be. Totally, it was like a 180 because I believe you can have a component as a drop, but I'm much rather see things along the same lines as like a necromancy, craftable gear.
Yeah, and I wonder with that, we have necromancy 10 to 90, and then we have, as already an example in the game, the masterwork smithing armor, which is just at the top end. And that comment got me thinking, why not have a set of craftable armor all the way up? And I think we're most of the way there to like 50 or 60 right now with magic, but why not take it all the way through to 90?
Yep.
Then have the masterwork on top of it, the masterwork mystic robes on top of it.
And then you can still, and then they're mainly your tank gear, and then you can still have your power armor as your drops.
Yeah, and
I mean,
this is out of the scope of 110 Crafting, to be honest, but it's an interesting thing to think about, I think, when it comes to accessibility of armor for styles.
Yeah, and I could see that just. It's honestly, it's just a more RuneScape way of doing things, right? Like. I feel like any time that you can do it yourself, and I don't know if this is the Iron Man coming out now talking, but any time that you can, it's a better design. Not that you have to, You know, I'm not opposed to being able to trade the stuff that you make, but I want to be able to make it.
Yeah, and
oh, that's it. Yeah,
well, like I think necromancy set the tone for this because necromancy is one of the most accessible combat styles, I think, and I think that would be a wise thing to carry forward. It doesn't need to be this update, but I think the very fact that we are getting, as now confirmed, the tier 100 power armor set for magic, and it's not going to be watered down to be just tank. There is going to be, if you want, a magic armor set you can make yourself that is power armor that is 100% decent for PVM. Which, when you consider it now, where does Tectonic come from? Oh, Virago.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's always been the problem.
Yeah, because even in this form of the game we're in, Tectonic and Elite Tectonic has one of the highest upkeeps of all the other Tier 90 and Tier 92 armor.
Yeah.
So, I like this a lot.
Yep. I mean, they really, again, they hit the ball out of the park with the way they did armor on Necromancy, and I'd love to see a similar type thing come into these, where you do get those drops from bosses that you need to upgrade.
And they haven't told us what the components are going to be
all that
yet.
Type of thing.
Of
course, yeah.
For good reason.
But more so in Necromancy, though, I think it feels... It aligns more with like the regular melee masterwork, because you know how you need those components from Nex, from the Nex drops. So who knows? Maybe there's some kind of I don't know what tier or what the drops would be that we would need. If they did it in that style, that would, I mean, that makes sense. I'm okay with that. I'd still rather it be more necromancy, but
yeah. The farmers in us are also happy because we have the Starbloom flower from the Starbloom seeds, which primarily come from shooting stars, giving people another reason to chase shooting stars. But also the other options are Master Farmers, Dwarf Traders. We'll come back to them later in the show. Vile Blooms and the Calphite King for a chance to get those seeds, and they will put these into the game before the 110 crafting release, so people are able to stock up on that for launch.
Yes, I was going to say
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that is a great thing that they are doing ahead of the release, so that we can sort of get them going and be ready to go when it gets released.
Yeah, and there's a reason to not skip Vile Blooms now. Vile Blooms. So.
Yeah.
I've always done my Vile Blooms. I like them.
And you know what it sounds like? And, you know, I think we might have been confusing the Masterwork and Starbloom stuff in the beginning because, you know, just going through this here, you are able to upgrade Starbloom robes as you do in smithing and fletching. So presumably those will be the tank ones. So we're there.
Yep.
You know, I read this post. I swear, folks, I read this post 3 times before the show this week. I read it once on launch day. I read it once yesterday, and then I read it again today on that. Which I think this came out on the Tuesday. This post. So that's one day a week. I went through this. If I remember correctly, or what day was it? Anyways, it was on the 21st. Oh, this only came out yesterday, so I guess I read it twice yesterday and once today.
Yeah,
and I still messed that up. But no.
Yeah, no, that's what I thought was an interesting thing, that they are going that sort of smithing. They seem to be going that smithing style of creation.
Yeah. And, you know, it's just a question, does that get old?
Well, rather than where
for pretty
smithing,
much
it
all the
is the same
110
piece
skills now.
over, yeah. But you're going to a spinning wheel, then to a loom. So you're going to different things rather than just on an anvil, flick around, heat, back to the anvil, flick around, heat, back to the anvil. So I think this is going to make it a little more interesting, and I would assume it's going to be a little faster than the way they did the smithing. You know, when you start getting up to your elders, tier 5s, I'm assuming they'll make it a little faster than that.
Yeah, and there's also an expansion to the crafting guild with this, or rework to it to add the sewing room. We'll get to that in a minute. But another thing that stood out in the feedback was mistakes, otherwise known as miscuts. The player said the mechanic would feel punishing since you weren't in control of what happened or had any way to avoid it. There's also the chatter around creating a less AFK, or creating a less just AFK method. So with this, the design was tweaked to address these, and they've added a new focus window mechanic. So now you'll be introduced to a short window in which you'll have to focus to make fine cuts and stitches. Active for a number of game ticks, you'll need to re-click the drafting table or tailor's dummy once in order to successfully make the fine cuts and stitches. Re-clicking in time gives you bonus progress, and you can continue crafting until the next focus window. So that's even going beyond smithing there, kind of into like a Rock-Opportunity kind of mining push with that, which I think is interesting.
But again, it's a similar type of thing, whereas as your progress slows down if you don't heat, your progress is going to slow down if you don't click that table. So
yeah,
it's a 2.0 version.
And missing a focus window will make you miscut the item you're crafting and consume extra thread. And again, you can continue to work on your armor piece, but making 5 total miscuts, you'll need to make a visit to the repair table to repair your damaged items. When it comes to the drafting table, you'll no longer be creating and progressing armor there. Instead, you'll design items in a pattern table, giving you an in-progress item, then move to the drafting table to progress it to 20%. And with this, they've also made a change to reduce the amount of regular thread required through the process. Previously, 1 thread would be used per action, but now you use 1 for every 40 progress, and 2 being used up whenever you make a miscut. And wearing the crafting skill cape, of course, will allow you to craft without having thread in your inventory. So big use there for that crafting skill cape, which we kind of always thought was a bit useless there.
Lackluster.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, that is crafting.
Have you guys been buying your thread?
Mm-hmm.
No.
In preparation for this, yeah, I've been saving up thread in preparation for this. So
okay.
So this mechanic is going to be all about like the details, how it actually shakes out. I'm concerned because this could go very poorly for me, but we'll see. Then again, it might be fine.
It might be safe cracking.
It might be safe cracking. So I mean, the devil's in the details. It really is. But I guess we'll see.
As long as it comes with with like a little sound warning as well, like safe cracking did, I'll be happy.
Yeah. And then we get to the crafting guild graphical rework.
Well, you missed the most important thing there as well.
Oh, the ranged armor with 110 hunter.
Yeah, we've designed this new training method to also be used for making the new ranged armor coming out with 110 hunter next year. So, I think that's a big point as well.
With this, I feel like we're in such a good place with content. I'm going to say the dreaded C word right now, the dreaded C word. We're in such a good place with content cadence right now in terms of having a good amount of PVM coming into it and combat, as well as the story stuff, and then these skilling updates along the way. I just feel like we're in such a good spot with this now, finally.
Yep.
It does seem, in thinking about it, it's actually been pretty decent throughout 25, really. I can't think of like any major just holes that people were complaining, and sometimes in past years by this point
they'd lost the plot.
Yeah. So that's encouraging, Hopeful.
And just the concept art for this from Mod Alex and Mod Debarker. I can't wait to get into this when this arrives here. So, and I think the through line throughout all this is that we'll finally have a real use for the crafting guild here.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Making crafting guilds, or making guilds great again.
Oh, that's a good one. And again, I just want to highlight that
Giggity.
that
GG.
that our discussion at the beginning about the armors, it seems as though that's the Starbloom, and then you have the Masterwork that is on its own, which takes exactly from the mining and smithing Masterwork in that it inherits the Masterwork's Malise set effect, which I think is absolutely astounding because that made that armor one of the go-tos for me for anything on Slayer, just because it spread the damage you'd take out and it didn't necessarily degrade there with that. So they say that the entire business is about providing accessible route into PVM that doesn't add power to the skill ceiling. So with this, they've decided to carry forward the trimmed Masterwork set effect across to all new Masterwork armor sets, including these Masterwork magic robes arriving with 110 crafting. This aims to ensure that Masterwork armor remains a stepping stone between tank armor and power armor that may be useful for future encounters where you want a bit more survivability, but without giving up the damage bonus of power armor.
That's good.
Yeah.
And we can say, making artisan guilds great again, we might be turning Tanis into a MAGA supporter.
Oh boy.
Yeah, guilds. Yeah, I'm all about about making guilds.
Making artisan guilds. See, MAGGA. the new MAGA.
All right, you're really trying to shoehorn all that in there.
Well, that's what you do. I mean, once you got the acronym, I mean, you
exactly.
just make the rest of the bill fit
exactly.
it, right?
But
people send hate to me, not to Shane.
No, it's fine. I, as far as I'm concerned, we're not even at the good part yet with this because they're not revealing how it looks yet, and they're not, of course, revealing the components on it. But the next step here is the exquisite urns.
This is what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's for each of the existing urn skills that'll be made from 100 to 110 crafting, more XP than decorated, and will require a gem as part of their creation. But you'll need porcelain clay, which is a strong material that is part of the Everlight dig site here. So with this, they say you'll be going to the mysterious cave to mine porcelain clay at level 102 mining outside of Everlight. The water will be pouring into the cave from Everlight's surface, and it's filled with special mineral properties, enhancing the quality of the porcelain rocks. But the twist is that every few minutes, an active stream of water will change at random. So wherever the water is flowing, you'll want to be mining rocks on that side, but we'll let you discover more upon release. So we get another reason to go to Everlight. We get a new mining activity. And maybe there's something with the water
even better,
that changes the XP rates or something, or how much you get.
Yeah. Post 99 urns.
Yep. I was sort of surprised that they did it Everlight. I thought this was going to be the use for the cave at near the fort. You know, that little cave in the Woodcutter's Grove.
Right.
You can, there's a patch note on that.
Yeah, well, they said we can now enter that cave, and I thought, they're prepping that for this, for this update. And then when I read on and said, it's going to be an actual Everlight, I thought, okay, so that's interesting. But yeah, great use to go back to Everlight, and gives you something to train from 1 to 110. So from 100 to 110. So yeah, very good. I was excited about this one.
At this point, I think next to 110 woodcutting, this will probably be my favorite 110. I didn't, have much affinity to 110 rune crafting, but I feel like I'm going to have a strong affinity towards this just because I'm coming into this with feeling like crafting as it is doesn't feel too useful. And the use continues because with platinum being mined at level 104, this is where platinum jewelry and its enchanted effects come in. The platinum will be found south of Piscatoris fishing colony and north of the ruins of Usur, which are then smelted into bars, allowing you to create the new platinum jewelry up to or using dragonstone gems.
Yeah.
And we had a big discussion about what we thought these could be, so, just biting that off and diving into it right now. The Platinum Ring is the Ring of Retribution, which is a plus 24 to all combat styles, provides recoil, 15% of damage taken is dealt back to the attacker, and provides a 12.5% chance to reflect damage. So this is with your armor spikes, the reflectability, and the Death Touch bracelet. So it's basically like a souped-up Ring of Recoil.
Yeah. I'm excited about that one. I want that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And see, the thing is that I think this is a good reward spot because typically you say, oh, yeah, I'll just bring your Luck of the Dwarves or Zorgoth's Ring if you're doing Necromancy, or the Reaver's Ring just for the extra crit chance. But now, if you don't have those, it creates an extra opportunity for you to choose kind of your path you're going to take for that. So I think that was neat. The necklace is the Sunburst Necklace. Immediately skips one growth stage when a seed is planted. One charge is used per planting of seeds. There's 10 charges on this. This is huge for things like your elder trees and the trees, north of level 80.
Yeah, I knew this would be Shane's favorite.
Yeah, and I think it gives us a boost to farming in a way if you are diligent about doing the farming runs without needing to lean too much into the ranch or POF. The bracelet is the Insatiable Spirit bracelet, which consumes an additional Stone Spirit, Wood Spirit, or Anima Stone for plus 10% XP. So keep a hold on those Anima Stones because you're gonna want those. Only comes into effect once after equipped for 9+ seconds. 100 charges on this one. So a convenient way to take Stone Spirits and Wood Spirits out of the game, I guess, for more XP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I still prefer the extra ore or wood, but yeah, it's again.
Well, no, it says it consumes an additional one. So I'm assuming that your main one could be consumed to get you the second one, and then this one goes towards that XP.
Oh, of course.
That's how I'm reading it here, at least.
That's exactly how I read it too. But I mean, I'd rather save my spirits. Obviously, if you've got a ton of them, then yeah, that's great. But like with us as Iron Men, I don't think we're going to have that abundance that we're going to want to give up.
Yeah,
the additional resource for an extra 10% XP.
And
but
then,
still, it's a great thing for normals.
And then we have the Amulet of the Expert. 10% extra progress when burial smithing, martial fletching, runecraft ascending, and crafting, adorning. 25 charges, one charge used per action that gives progress. So just a faster way to get through your burial sets with that. And then the Anklet, which is the new one that takes up the feet spot, the Delver's Anklet provides a 50% reduction to run energy cost. Provides teleports to the Polyport Dungeon, Brimhaven Dungeon, and Fremenic Slayer Dungeon.
Okay. I mean, I guess
third
we kind of
level
have those.
Polyport.
I think that's the most interesting one.
Polyport is great.
Yeah, that one is.
Because take you straight down, so rather than having to go outside and then climb down all the levels, just go straight down to the third level. That's great. I would assume Brimhaven and Fremenic Slayer Dungeon are going to be deep inside as well.
Yeah, I think we can get there though on our Slayer capes, can't we?
Well, not with the Slayer ring, you can get to Fremennik. Brimhaven is very easy as well with just the
I mean, that's the lodestone right
with the
there.
the lodestone. But that's why I'm assuming that these are going to be deeper inside the cave as well.
That
So
makes
if
sense.
you want to get to your Aquanites, maybe it brings you in midway through where the like at the Fremennik one where the the Pyre Fiends are. So you don't have as far to run. In Brimhaven, it'll bring you in. Maybe where the Fire Giants are, so you can access sort of those later parts a bit easier without having to have a dungeoneering cape.
Okay, and we have a date, June 16th.
Yeah.
So that's closer than I was
Awesome.
anticipating. So that's definitely something we'll be looking forward to.
Yep.
And I'll get the flowers going before then. Obviously, that'll be something that I'll be looking forward to.
They'll probably come out about June 2nd, I'd say, the Monday.
Yeah, thereabouts. And would you guys also believe it that in July we're heading to 20 years since the farming skill came out?
Wow.
That's unbelievable.
20 years of farming.
It's also 20 years of something else in June.
Something to do with an anniversary?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. And we'll talk more about that in the coming weeks, but this podcast is turning 20 the week before 110 crafting arrives.
Yeah, so
Podcast
suck
is
that,
1
Joe
year off
Rogan.
legal.
We're older than you.
Anyways, we looking forward to 110 crafting because I feel like this is going to be my favorite one next to 110 woodcutting.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah. There looks like there's just more to do with this one.
Yeah. And we already had the retier of all the various crafting armors already, and with new magic armor being added in the form of Starbloom, I think we're gonna finally have crafting in a good spot here, and I can maybe take my useless label off it. At least that's how it kind of feels to me. Obviously, it has it's the big requirement for invention, but beyond that, I can't remember the last time I actually, crafted useful things in crafting. Well, I mean, is it really the porter skill? Porters and urns, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. It's given a bit of diversity to it and making it useful. And it's not just there just to get I've got to get 99s because I want my master. I want my max cape. It's it's got a use behind it now, which is what I love.
Yeah.
I mean, much as I'd love to see a new skill, I'm loving these reworks of the old ones to bring them up to to the 21st century or the 2020s.
Indeed. All right, I'm going to thank some Patreon supporters, then we'll move on into the customer support stuff. So this week I'd like to thank Alvaro L., Amos Reed, Arvids L., Bladecom, Brayton K., Chilbura, Dominic R., Duramax, Gila Fleur, Harry, Jade Gizmo, Jason S., Jesse W., Kesky, Lemon Lodge, Luminos, Mongrath, Pernasius, Ricky A., Robbie D., Runestar, Samuel FL, Scott DS, Shirt Pants, Oasis, Snail Mage, The Naked Captain, Dab and Goat, Tim, Ukulele Steve, Woody, Zant, and Zazakon. Big, huge thank you, everybody. And if you're wondering what this is about, patreon.com/RSBANDB. Support your favorite podcast monetarily if you want to. We have tiers starting for as little as $1 a month, and for that, you get access to an entire back catalog of things we call monthly bits, basically bonus shows. And with that, the folks are voting right now on what the next monthly bit could be. We have a number of topics out there, including a reflection on the rune economy over the years. That's an interesting one. We also have RuneScape's highs and lows. We'll bring our decades of history and talk about RuneScape's best moments and RuneScape's worst moments, and also third age storylines, the topic that was carried forward from last year. The Patreon folks actually broke a tie because for the longest time, for about the first 2 days of this poll, each of the options was maintaining 33% each, which basically never happens in these polls. There's always a clear front runner. So I think the tie has been broken now. But if you want to vote in that, you have until Monday to do so. Patreon.com/RSBANDB. Sign up there, and you'll get the episode when it arrives. And we're actually bringing something back this weekend on Sunday. It's a round table, and this was something we talked about in our Patreon survey earlier this year. And the idea behind the round table is to give Patreon members an opportunity to bring their ideas and their RuneScape discussions and pretty much something focused around a specific topic to us and share that and ask questions of us, the podcast producers. We're actually starting off the first one by making a discussion about our Patreon offerings, and we're doing that on Sunday. So if you want to be a part of that, you can sign up. And you get all this for the $1 tier. I haven't even talked about 3 and 5 yet. But for 3, you get a rank on Discord, a VIP rank, and high-quality stereo versions of the show. And for $5 a month, you get access to the clips we use to make the clip show. Plus, you get the RSBANDB Update Christmas card every December. Big, huge thank you goes out to all of our Patreon members. Thank you so much, everyone. Patreon.com/RSBANDB.
Thanks.
All right. We have some statistics here from customer support, and oh boy, they're a doozy.
Uh-oh.
They're a doozy here.
Uh-oh.
The May average response time for a player support query, 45.1 hours.
2 days, not bad. Or less than 2 days, excellent.
Yeah, not too bad.
They want to bring that down so that the bulk of them can be answered within 12, as per the player support roadmap. So that's why they're putting this out there right now. 71% ticket satisfaction score. They, in April, did 33,292 support queries and had report messages 89,000 in April, 89,635. But we also got stats on bans here for macroing. In the month of April, 8146 were banned from RS3. 301.9 thousand banned from old school. With a year-to-date of 47,986 for RS3 and 1.1 million for OS.
So OS is the cheaters game. Good to know.
You and I had a discussion about that this week.
We did. We've really got to get an After Dark once a month going where we can just talk about all these controversial things.
And it wasn't about botting or, GP cheating. It was about different kinds of OS cheating.
Yes.
GP removed 109.1 billion from RS3 in April. I just want to floor you with this OS number. Then you go ahead. 2.3 trillion on old school in April.
Whoa.
I mean, that's a lot of cheating.
But it gets more interesting because year-to-date RS3 is 11.9 trillion, but old school is 10.1.
So what happened at the
I don't know.
This year
I don't know what happened this year. Go ahead, Tanis.
I mean, I'm just thinking, with all that economy talk and all that, they could they literally could pull out anything they wanted to make the economy run however they wanted, right?
Oh, you're talking about back with the GE tariff.
Well, but I'm just saying, like, all they have to do is say we pulled out another $1 trillion from cheaters. But they could just pull out $1 trillion.
Yeah, and I think it'd be interesting to get alongside this how much GP was removed from the GE tax in both games. Compare that to how much is being removed from the illicit activity.
Oh, see, I took this as meaning that was from cheating, not just from the tax.
No, yeah, this is definitely just from cheating, not from the tariffs.
Yeah, I was going to say, because 109 billion doesn't sound...
That's not much.
No, exactly. I thought, more people are trading on the GE than that. But yeah.
This is just
that's
cheaters.
Good. That is just cheated. Yeah, that's what I took it as. Good.
Yep.
Real world trading bans in April. RS3. 322. OS 14.1K. Year to date, RS 4028, OS 52,266. Chat spam mutes 4694 and 16,276 year to date.
Where's the math nerds when we need them?
Well,
I want to know how many times that is.
It's telling you that your lower forms of life are playing OSRS.
Oh, God!
I am being a dick, people. Don't spend the hate. I'm just mucking around.
In all honesty, you know what it boils down to is on OSRS, you can.
Yes.
Right? I mean, a lot of it comes down to that.
Well, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, as in you don't...
what used
real
to
world,
be
real world trading still 14,000 for 1 month.
I mean, OS has bonds. There's no real reason to real world trade over there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like,
But that means, of course, that in many cases, I would assume that the real world traders are able to provide a better return on value for people than if they just went out and bought bonds.
I wonder if it's easier to run there. Well, it's a lot easier to run bots over there than it is on RS3. So
yeah, they're very coy about what they got for anti-cheat detection, if anything. And part of me wonders if that's part of the reason that the numbers are so inflated is because it's still possible over there. Because keep in mind, the primary client, RuneLite, is the Java client running an applet wrapper. They have the mobile client and they have their new C++ client. But if you go back in time when NXT came out and they started sunsetting Java on RS3, that's when a lot of the client stuff really started to become belt and suspenders type things, where it was really, really locked down because they were moving away from that Java client. So the thing is that you're never going to be able to end the Java client on OS because of things like RuneLite and their experiment in terms of a few plugins for their mobile client really haven't gone that well. So I don't necessarily know how well their official client support of third-party plugins will be either whenever that arrives. And that just keeps, RuneLite kicking, which of course means that there's still going to be, a physical way to cheat with OS that's a lot more difficult with RS3. Because people might not be aware. Everybody assumes that when it comes to a bot just, records the screen and then clicks the appropriate spot. But the bots that were running on RS before they really started taking this seriously with heuristics-based bot banning and really just locking down the client, they were injection bots that would actually send commands directly into the Java client itself and control your game that way. It had nothing to do with what was displayed on screen, and that's how insidious these things were back in the day. And I think we've largely moved away from that on the RS3 side just due to the way how the client has changed. But that can't happen on old school. So I think that's probably what keeps these OS numbers higher. If I had to wager a guess, that would be my stance on it.
Oh yeah,
but
it's because they can.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, exactly. Well, I mean, it's the same as RuneLight. I mean, they love to call RS3 EasyScape, but when you have plugins like RuneLight and all that, I mean, that makes that game so easy. You got little bells and whistles that go off to remind you to do things. Things pop up. I mean, I've been watching.
Well, yeah,
some
you
of the
remember how
YouTube.
people
They
wanted
got
farm
things pop
timers,
up
right?
To tell them where
You can have desktop notifications that come up that tell you when your farming stuff is done because the game tracks it behind the scenes.
Yeah. What I laughed is the discussion that we had with it, where they won't allow, the players voted against having a tool belt because, no, that's making the game too easy, it's cheating. But they're all happy to run RuneLight that tells you what to pick up and where and how much and where to click and all that type of stuff. It's like, seriously, people?
Well, the bigger one was the clue stuff recently. There was the idea of adding skip tokens to OS's clues, which meant that you would be able to skip an entire clue step.
Yeah.
But the community said no because that's counter to how clues work. But at the same time,
you have Alt1, which is an outright cheat.
No, but the RuneLight goes further than Alt1, Pern. It actually tells you exactly where to click and what to do to solve your clue.
Jesus. That's even worse.
And then you have Quest Helper, on the other hand, tells you exactly what to press to progress through a quest. Need I go on?
No. I mean, I've always said OSRS is an official private server. So, if it's over there, I'm happy. It doesn't affect my game on RS3. So, as long as the players are happy and they're paying their memberships, go for it.
But I think the thing to really just, look at through all this is that average response time, 45 hours in May, you got to see that come down over time as they enact what was in the player support roadmap for the rest of the year here. So
again, though, when you look at 45 hours, that's less than 2 days. So I think that's pretty good. When you consider that, they had, 33,000 that they resolved. The support center views 798K. I mean, that's just views, people looking at it like.
But 33,000 queries in April. So when you spread that out, it's that the 45-hour benchmark there is good in that respect.
That's right. But it's also.
But I mean, if your account is locked or there's something wrong with it, that 45 hours is an eternity.
So good.
It's a long time. I was going to say
what's happening with it.
What I would be more. That's what I would say. What I would be more concerned about is the fact that they had to have 33,000 queries to resolve. Is it people not using the proper authentication and such? Always have your bank pins and always have your passwords and all that, done. So it makes it a lot harder to hack and things like that for lockouts and things. But, as they said, they're trying to get that down. So good on them and great for transparency. Love to see these numbers.
Yeah.
I like to see these things.
And presumably they'll be updated monthly. So that's good.
Yep. So well done, Jagex.
All right. Next up, we do have some patch notes for this week because this was the patch week, of course. Dwarf traders, they've taken lessons in self-defense and can now better defend their pockets from thieves. They'll now do comparable damage to similarly leveled enemies, and this is, of course, referring to the new Oblivious perk that came out last week. In that dwarf traders were kind of just an AFK 1.6 mil an hour thieving endeavor over the weekend.
Went to the Combat Academy.
That's right. So, I think this is fine. Lemon, as a follow up from last week, posted that with no aura, the XP per hour at Dwarf Traders was about 1.25 mil an hour. Still.
Yeah, that's still okay.
Well, that's what she was getting last week before
right. So it really hasn't changed that much.
No, that's right.
You just got to manage that HP,
food,
life points, and persistent rage plus regenerate is out healing most of what they do.
Yep.
So it's another use for persistent rage, which a lot of people don't think about that often as a relic power.
If you have make more uses for those relics, well and good.
Now we got some changes to the Duck Quest. The first fishing spot in Paddlington, available after Duck Quest, has been moved to a more visible location. They added visual effects to the relaxation spots and Ps in Duck Quest for when they appear, and the ducks have been graphically updated along with the ducklings across the game, including Mega Duck and Mrs. Duck. So just reaping the benefits from that quest. Update the way the ducks look.
And they made themselves a little home.
Yeah, in the Fort 4-3 Grove. That's good. I was actually wondering what those noises were when I was there cutting ivy, and you can actually hear them.
Oh, good.
So, because that's where I was doing woodcutting.
My dogs will be going nuts when I go woodcutting again.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Well, it's a subtle noise in the background. I don't know if they'll be able to, like, unless you have your background audio all the way up.
Yeah, no. They love it. They love the lorehound barking. And
really?
They love all the animal sounds that come through,
including Grigorovic, right?
Oh no, yeah, Greg. They go nuts. His laugh, they just go. They're bouncing around and they're running and they're looking for what the hell is making that sound. I like to turn it on and just turn it up sometimes just to watch them go crazy. I'm not mean.
Moving into other patch notes, added additional titles for completing unorthodox and perfect achievements, and the cave in the Fort 4-3 Grove can now be accessed. This is what you were talking about, that you were thinking This is where the mining XP might be, but you can just go in this cave now.
Yeah.
This was
when I saw this, I thought, oh, that's good. The Fort 4-3, because patch notes, obviously, when they come out, I thought, oh, this is great. This is where they'll be doing it. And then when we got the right-click examine, it's like, oh, no, they're making it in the other place. So, yeah,
this is where one of the community eggs was in 24. That's what this cave was used for entirely.
Yeah.
And they also, I'll skip down to the other bottom of the patch notes, they made the one in the ice dungeon also available as well. Which, I mean, why not? You create these two bespoke environments for these community eggs. Go for it.
Yeah, that's it. Let people visit.
The click boxes for one of the obstacles in the underground pass has been increased, so that's easier to interact with on mobile.
Excellent.
I don't know who would quest on mobile, specifically underground pass, but there you are.
Yeah, but some of those click boxes down there, even on a desktop, is... you got to get that mouse right in the right spot.
Yeah.
So.
Turiel's combat path in Berthorpe has been updated so that you now only require 75% of your life points to pass Turiel's inspections instead of 100%. And this is to accommodate max life point bonuses that have come into the game due to equipped armor, including the bronze medium helmet, which the player must equip to progress through Turiel's tutorial. Because, with that, you would be in a position where you would not be able to hit that life point benchmark. The combat tutorials that require you to drag food or abilities onto your action bar now tutorialize unlocking the backpack or unlocking the action bar if they're currently locked. Oopsies. And the drag food tutorial is now separate from the adrenaline tutorial, so that the adrenaline tutorial steps need to be repeated if the backpack or action bar are locked. And fixed an issue that caused raw or caviar not to be consumed as the first available food when the eat food ability is used.
Do people eat raw and caviar? Okay.
Yeah, you can if you get them from Barbarian.
I know you can, but do they?
No. Just like people never use those mixes.
Exactly.
They updated the telegraphing of the Black Flames of Zamorak, and these now target the player's last location before they teleport into Infernus. I remember that mechanic from my few Zamorak runs. They updated the lap completion color for the Anachronia Agility course to improve its readability. I was going to go check this, but I got sidetracked in the way, but I'm going to assume that it's something that pops a little bit more.
I got a 7.08 on that on this account. Just missed the 7 minute thing. So I was most upset about that.
I never went for benchmark times on that because I just couldn't be bothered.
I never did it on my main, but when I saw 708, I thought, what? I was just like, I was annoyed because I missed by like.
You basically got to save a second per obstacle in that point somehow.
That's it. Yeah, not that I'm going to, but it was just like would have been nice to tick off.
Leveling up a non-combat skill no longer triggers a combat level up message. Oops.
Good.
The gold dish and Raksha idle no longer flicker when rotating the camera or during player movement within Zolo City. That's good. Probably just some kind of lighting abnormality there. And they fixed an issue that caused the Obliteration's special attack, Devour, to stop Kezalam the Wanderer boss from healing entirely instead of the effect being halved. And the idea behind this is that when the Sanctum of Rebirth came out, people discovered that you could actually use Obliteration and the Devour special attack on it to get through that easier, and it made magic viable at that part of the Sanctum in particular. And my question on this is just how long was the special attack stopping him from healing entirely?
Well, obviously right from the start. If they're fixing it now, it would have been from release.
Well, what I'm wondering is if it could have got thrown in before, or if this was just something that existed for its entirety. Because I never used magic there, and I never used an Obliteration, so I don't know.
No.
I don't know if this was there since the beginning. If anybody knows, let me know, because that would be quite the substantial change. But definitely something that needed to be done.
Well, it's a bug, obviously. Yeah,
and it's good to fix these rather than make them features.
But
right?
It's also one I don't think people should be banned for because.
No, it's not. It's not
no
like
one really knew. Yeah,
it's not like a direct thing that you have to do. Like stand on your head, twirl around, and then hop on one foot as you enter the boss arena. So it's an unintended thing, and I don't think it was. While it might have given people an advantage, I don't. Most people probably wouldn't even realize it wasn't supposed to do that. Well, the text on the special attack says that it halves the target's healing for 15 seconds. So
yeah, but I mean, people probably don't. You're not really noticing that it's not healing at all. You know what I mean? You're too busy doing everything else. So while some of the high end PVMers may have noticed, that's not something I would have been watching.
Right.
I would have just hit it and then just kept going and looking at everything else.
Yeah, I mean, like right now, if we look at where Obliteration stands, it's about 3 mil. But throughout most of its history, otherwise, even going to last year, it did get a brief spike in terms of the amount of volumes done when Sanctum came out, but it's nowhere near its heyday of around 50 mil when it first came out. So it's just one of those oddball wilderness weapons.
Yep.
And they also corrected the functionality of meteorites and space dust. This was touched on last week's show. Those items will now prioritize skills with the lowest experience in them, then non-max skills when determining which are eligible for a bigger XP boost. And there's your patch notes of the week.
You did miss they updated the super anti-fire effect to correctly last 12 minutes, and it no longer resets when relogging or while taking overload salve options.
Oh, good, yeah.
Potions.
Right. Yeah. I highlighted that one. For some reason, I just scrolled past it. Fair enough. Yeah, that's good. Because that's an expensive potion to make, and you don't want to be kind of throwing those ingredients out willy-nilly. So.
Exactly.
All right. Well, there's your patch notes, everybody. After this, we're going to move on into what we've been doing this week. So, who wants to go first? I have stories this week. I don't know about either of you.
I've got a couple of little stories.
All
I
right,
think
you go first.
Tannis has been Dragon Wild, so.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, no. This week, I mean, obviously, with the clues starting to build up for us and getting to those levels now where, we've got one Grace of the Elves. We will probably want to get a couple more going so that we can all sort of have one. I was working on getting my totems. So I got my clue totem. I got my totem of navigation. And because they're such a pain to go and charge, I hunted out the Remo totem. So got all those done this week. So that was a lot of fun. Been pounding out the archaeology, aiming for 96, so I can boost, which will give us the divination. Sort of drop everything in at once.
I've been having so much fun with the skill as well.
Oh, it's a great skill. I'm just falling in love with it again. So get that divination relic going so that make it quicker to make our porters. And also, as we discussed, the cooking, the bait and switch, I'll be able to get the parts for that to drop in so that once you guys sort of...
Primarily Tannis.
Primarily Tannis can put his relic up to do that. So he doesn't need to have the 98 archaeology. He just needs the 2 artifacts for it. So I can get that done and really get that all happening. So aside from
quest requirements, we really could have just had a dedicated group archaeologist from the beginning.
Yep. Exactly. Didn't realise it was only last week when thank you Lemon, all hail Lemon for all the great little tips she was giving us. It was actually boostable. So looked into it and yes it is. So we'll be getting all that done for everyone. Archaeology is my next 99 I'm aiming for, so
very nice.
That has the other big thing I wanted to tell everyone is I did get my augmented Incamdomatic done.
Ooh.
Oh, damn.
So yes, I was doing some big game hunter, got a Matic there. While I was chasing the totem pieces, and hang on, what's that? Oh, got the Matic, awesome! I had 2 of the Incando pieces already, so I just went and hunted out the other 2 and got that. So I now have an augmented Incando hatchet.
Very nice.
Oh yeah.
Yes, so that's been me.
Good. Well, as I mentioned, also. Just been doing a ton of archaeology again. I got to level 69 there. I think I need 74 or something for City of Santistan, but I also require magic and Slayer levels to do that quest. So no need to really push beyond that. But I finished the Santistan dig site this week, and I think when it comes to all the mysteries and the environment and just the way the dig site plays, I think Santistan might be moving up to my second favorite. Just when you factor in all the mysteries and everything around it.
Yeah. The mysteries are so fun.
It was.
Yeah,
it was. It wasn't Daemonheim in terms of being a few excavation spots, but it wasn't as expansive as Orthan, but it was like a step below that. And just going back to it and looking at the Zerosian lore involved in that, I'd like to pull on some of those threads at one point again in the future, but I don't think that there's going to be the story going in the path that will let them lean into those sort of things, like what happened to the people who got sucked into the monolith, what happened with that vision we saw of the monolith underneath at the Santistan Cathedral and all that. I don't think we'll have an opportunity to look at those story beats again in the future, unfortunately. But Santistan and just archaeology in general has been a fun trip over the last week and a bit. But aside from that, I've been leveling up the Croesus skills. I want to get them all to level 70. The only 2 that are under 70 are woodcutting and fishing. Woodcutting got to 70 last night, and fishing will come next as well. And, I'm just sitting at Shiloh Village fly fishing for that. That sound like the right call, Tannis, at like 60, 68-ish fishing?
Should be doing Metaphos.
I was gonna say, that's the more old school way of doing it. I
thought Metaphos didn't unlock until like 72.
No, Metaphos unlocks at 64.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's something like that. You're the first fish, yeah.
Okay, so I should look into that then for the rest of it there. Okay, I'll do that. But like I mentioned as well, just hearing the environment sounds at the Grove, cutting ivy, and all that. But Hunter's already level 75, and of course mining is like 81. So there's two of the 4 Croesus stats set out of the way, and that's kind of the idea is get to around 70, 75-ish and all the Croesus stats, and we can take a group in there and see what happens with that, and if we're able to get productive kills, because that boss at this point in time is still a pinata when it comes to its common drop table, plus any pieces of the Crypt Bloom that we could get there, because I know a few of us in the group would like to have Crypt Bloom. So
love to get my Crypt Bloom back.
That's what I'm opening up, and the entire push along that is let's just get to a point where we can get Priff too with that. So that's been me. How has Dragon Wilds been going, Taps? Because I have questions about the game as to where it is right now and how your engagement is going with it.
Well, my engagement's awesome.
Okay.
I enjoy what I'm doing. I don't get burned out because I have to cut more wood. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get burned out because I got to go gather my stuff. And skilling in Dragon Wilds, it's daily. It really is kind of a survival type thing. So I'll do a lot of my gathering stuff, and then I'll go make my runs around the vaults that I found.
Have you got a whip yet?
But I don't have a whip yet. I do have the blueprints for like one of the higher end hunters.
Because I saw a social media post that said they're looking at changing out the whip to effectively bring it up to the legendary status that it has in RuneScape to, I guess, make it do more in that regard. So that's why I was wondering.
It's not the best.
No, it's not
melee weapon. I'm still working on getting that, but I spend a lot of time building. Man, I'm building a city. I'm building a town.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing. This RuneScape Minecraft, I'm down with it. I really.
Have you killed the first big dragon yet?
No, but I have made it into the Stormlands now. So
okay.
I've got, I'm progressing, and what I like is like you kind of get to a new area, you gotta really fight to get a foothold into it. Once you kind of got that, then you can start making the equipment that makes you more on par in that area, and then you can explore more, and it kind of follows that path. And so that's kind of what I've been doing when I'm not building, because I like to build. I like to build a lot. So,
all right,
yeah.
Sounds good. But we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that double XP was also happening in RS3, and we do have the traditional double XP, right?
I keep forgetting about that.
We had the traditional double XP list of achievements this week. So starting off, Remo Reaper got 120 mining on the 20th. Skater Dan Man got 99 fire making on the 20th as well. We then have Todio 22 with 99 hunter. And then on the 19th, we have power level 8999 with 99 strength, and GIM Runestar with 99 herblore on May 18th.
We continue on for the May 18th. We had Jade Gizmo, who hit 200 million woodcutting XP. Well done there. Remo Reaper with 120 fire making, Shadow Lead hit 120 necromancy, and Warwick 120 rune crafting. They were all on May 18th, which was actually my mother's birthday, so there you go. Jade Gizmo also hit 200 mil fire making on May 17th, and Lord Zorik with 120 necromancy also on May 17th.
Awesome. And then we have Ormine with 99 crafting on the 17th. We have Exo Scotty Exo with 200 mil fire making. We have Ex Polonia with 99 hunter on the 17th. We have Shamalak with 99 fletching on the 16th, and Darkest Night with 120 necromancy on the 16th.
Nicely done,
Congratulations
everyone.
all.
Nicely done. All right. Do you guys remember Twitch Plays Pokemon?
I never saw anything about that, but that's, yep.
Okay, maybe you guys were not the right audience for Twitch Plays Pokemon then. So this week's pick is the Internet Road Trip, which is exactly as it sounds. You're in a car right now with, as it stands, as of time of recording, 712 other drivers. The car set off from Boston, I forget how many days ago, but they've gone 1,237 miles. So far, they're in northern Maine, and it looks like they're finally heading to Canada. The idea behind this is you load up the Internet Road Trip and you pick what direction the car goes using Google Street View, and it's really as simple as that. For one point a few days ago, they were stuck doing loops on this little island in Maine, as fun as that might be. But it's basically collective driving here. Right now they're on Maine State Route 214 heading northwest, and it looks like maybe they might be trying to head to Canada. But you have other options you can do with the car. You can honk the horn. You can tune into a college radio station that's actually DJing specific songs just for this purpose. It's just a fun little thing to have up in the background and maybe be just a tiny part of, considering there's dozens and dozens of people voting for each action that the car is going to take. So I wanted to, kind of bring it back to this kind of pick of the week here on the show, because this is what pick of the week used to all be about. So check it out. You find it at neil.fun/internet-roadtrip, or you can just find it in the show notes over at update.show. For anybody who's aware of the area right now, they are just a little bit to the west of Pembroke, Maine. So, and it's kind of fun because you can just drop a pin on Street View anywhere and go, oh yeah, that's that. But you can kind of with this just see exactly what the path looks like throughout that part of the country, and it's scenic at places. So, if for people watching on the video version right now, I'm showcasing the path that they took, including the little circle that they went through on an island. But you can see if you go all the way back that they actually started out in Boston, headed south for a bit into Rhode Island, down to Providence, and then I guess made the collective decision to go north again after getting into Rhode Island. So quite fun to watch.
The democracy really can drive. I mean, it starts off going in circles and then makes a beeline towards Canada, but it can. But it can.
Imagine they were doing this with an actual robotic car, because since self-driving cars are becoming a thing. Imagine you could pre-program into an actual car and have it go somewhere.
Imagine
with
being
somebody
in that car.
You're right.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
One day on Street View, one day in real life. But yeah, exactly. That's the thing. If there's a bunch of trolls, you're gonna spend a bunch of time on the island, like I mentioned that they did. But very reminiscent of Twitch Plays Pokemon. But the Internet Road Trip, just a fun thing I've been checking in on over the past few days. So that's the pick of the week. Alrighty. Anybody else have anything before we go? Any crafting things? Any road trip things?
No, I'm
No.
all pretty good.
No, it looks like a good part of the country to be in. Maine, I think, that part of it. But, Tannis, you ever been up that way?
No, I haven't. I haven't been northeast. I've been west, I've been south, never northeast.
All right. Well, we'll be back next week. Next week is going to be a very combat-heavy week. The Masterwork weapons are getting their passive special attacks. The EZK is getting a new special, and there might be more combat stuff too. So we'll strap in. Bears will be here for that one. But if you want to get the show, this one, next one, any of them as they arrive, update.show/subscribe. We're on all the major podcast listening services out there. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Casts, and of course YouTube at youtube.com/RSBANDB. Thank you, Tannis, for being here.
Thank you, Shane.
And of course, Pronuncius as well, everyone's second favorite Australian.
Thank you all. It's been great again.
And with that being said, we'll see you guys next week for another episode of RSBANDB Update. See you then, everyone. Take care.
See ya.
Happy Skype and all.